Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1. You have 30 seconds to read questions 1 to 6. Well, Piers, our first semester at university is almost over. I can't wait for the holiday.
Me too. Why don't we go somewhere far away and forget about lectures and essays and all that hard work?
Sounds good. Now, how long will we have before we have to be back here on campus for the next semester?
We've got about 6 weeks, I think.
How about if we go to the coast? It would be great to do some swimming and surfing.
The coast would be good, but let's look at our other options. There are some mountains. They're nice and cool at this time of year, and we can do some bushwalking. There's also the desert, which I really enjoyed last year.
What about going to Sydney? I've never been there, and they say it's a great city to visit. Lots of things to do there, I've heard.
I agree Sydney would be good, but there are too many tourists at this time of year.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have 30 seconds to read questions 7 to 10.
And I'd rather get away from buildings and cars. There are enough of those around here. I vote for the mountains.
Well, for places to stay, there are the usual places. Motels, hotels, youth hostels. You can go camping too.
I'm afraid I'm not a very good camper, Anna. I tend to feel a bit frightened sleeping outdoors. And the hassle of building fires and all the insects and…
All right. We'll forget about camping, although I must admit it would have been my first choice. So what should we do?
Well, since neither of us has a lot of money, I don't think a hotel or motel would be possible. How about a youth hostel?
I'd rather not go to a youth hostel, Piers. They are certainly cheap, but you never get to be alone in those places. There's always a stranger in the next bed, and I hate sharing a kitchen with people I don't know. No, I think we should find a small holiday house to rent. And if we get a few more friends to join us, it'll be really cheap.
I think your idea is spot on. But who should we ask? How about Lucy? Do you think she would want to join us?
I was just talking to her this morning, and she said she was flying home to Taiwan for a visit.
Oh, well, what about Jim and his girlfriend Nancy? Oh, and David Hong might be interested. And his brother Walter is studying here too. We could ask him.
Hang on, not so fast, please. I'm writing a list of people to ring. Let me think. We could ask Jennifer too. I don't think she has any plans. And Michael Sullivan. I think I'll just ring them all now.
After ringing their friends, Anna returns to speak to Piers. Well, I talked to everyone we thought of. A few of them are quite keen, actually.
Tell me, what did they say?
Well, Jennifer can't make it. She's already booked a flight to Queensland. She said she was going to meet her boyfriend up there. I also talked to David Hong. He said he would come. He said he was really looking forward to getting off campus too.
What about his brother, Walter?
His brother is going overseas. In fact, he is not even coming back next term. It seems he is transferred to a university in Canada. I then called Jim's house. His girlfriend Nancy answered. I told her our plans and she asked Jim. They both wanted to join us.
Good. They'll be fun to be with. Now, what about Michael Sullivan? Did you talk to him?
Yes, but he said he'd rather spend his holiday at home. He's not interested in going anywhere. Can you imagine? Later, Piers and Anna are talking while Anna fills out a holiday house rental form.
The form asks for home address. I've put mine. 52 Miller Street. But let me see if I've got yours right. It's 614 Valentine Street, isn't it?
You've got the street number right, but not the name. It's 614 Valentine Street. That's BALLANTYNE.
Okay, we're paying by credit card. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Have you got a Visa card or a MasterCard? And I need to know the number, of course.
Sure, it's 77432129, but it's not a Visa or MasterCard. It's an American Express.
Let me just repeat that. It's 77432129. American Express, right?
That's right.
One more thing we have to write down. That's the deposit we're paying to reserve the holiday house. It says it should be at least 10% of the rental cost.
Let's just figure that out now. We're paying $350 a week, right?
Right, and we're planning to stay there for 5 weeks. So the deposit is, what, shall we say $225?
No, that can't be right. I'd say it's less than that. In fact, about $50 less. It should be $175.
I guess you're right. Okay, that's what I'll put down.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
Before you listen, you have 30 seconds to read questions 11 to 15.
Now listen to the lecture and answer questions.
Questions 11 to 15.
Could everybody hear me? Is the microphone working? Good. Now, welcome everybody to the second of these lectures on successful study at college. Yesterday, we were talking about housekeeping issues, where to find information, how to use library computer system, and so on. Today, we look at time management. And those of you who are interested in doing some extra reading on the subject are very welcome to see me after the lecture, as I have a booklet here. Now, time management. In the past, this was mainly used to make lists, so as to plan for every hour of the week, and then try to stick to the plan. These days, however, the whole idea of managing time has changed. It's impossible to manage time. To manage time, you need a clear idea of both what you want to achieve and how to achieve it. Also, you need to set goals, need to move towards achieving those goals in an effective and systematic way. In this subject, in this college, our course goes mid-semester, and at the end of the semester usually involves 2 written assignments of between 1,500 and 3,000 words in length. If you work weeks of the term, everyone looks cheerful and focused. Followed by week 6, assignment time, people start to look a lot stressed. The library reports the increasing number of students who become angry when books are not available. So what has happened? Has everybody become irritable and angry for no reason? Why? The reason is that people have not managed time well. They have not set priorities for reaching their goals.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have 30 seconds to read questions 16 to 20.
and as a result, some of them would do badly in their assignment. This will not be because they lack intelligence or love of the subject. They will fail because they did not have a clearer idea of what they have to do and how long it would take them. Let's step back a minute. What does it mean by establishing goals? Basically, it means deciding on what you want to achieve. In other words, deciding on the results that you want to achieve. All the students that I mentioned before who found themselves very stressed they had an assignment to do, but they did not fully think through the effect that this would have on their day-to-day life. There's an awful lot of spare time in a day. Just think of a moment of all the time that you have badly today. For example, if you had managed to spend some of it, even just 1 hour, on an activity that would have helped you with your study, that 1 hour could have a major impact on your course, particularly if you make it a regular habit. I'm asking you now to have a look at the planners in your information kits. You will see that there are 3, 1 term planner, 1 weekly planner, 1 daily planner. The term planner is to help you get an overview of everything that you will need to do for the term. The weekly planner is to help you week by week, and the daily planner will help you with detailed planning. Before we go any further, now, I would like you to make a note in your daily planner. I want you to picture how you can make a major difference in your life by spending just 1 hour a day in some activity for the next term. Background reading, for example, or preparing a bibliography. Now, imagine at the end of term, the term diary and weekly diary are the most important ones. However, a week is really the shortest time you can have to set an overview of your time. Now, you need to set priorities for the term. Look out how you could achieve those priorities and the result that you desire. If you can get into the habit of planning like this, you'll soon find that you have actually had more time to spend on relaxation and other activities you enjoy.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You are going to hear a conversation. Before you listen, please look at questions 21 to 30. Now listen to the conversation and answer questions 21 to 30. Jenny and Kevin, now, I asked you to look at the case study on the marketing of JTL Foodstuffs Company as part of your exam assessment. It's remarkable because the 2 main products, cheese and chocolate, are well received in many countries, while still face several problems at the moment, and I want you to track how they manage it. Let's start with you, Kevin. Having read through the case study on cheese, please just summarise what problems JTL had to take on board.
Yeah, well, of course, what first came to my attention was that the main consuming countries are Italy and Germany, and JTL has a large market share in these 2 countries. But at present, the sales status still differs. The sales volume in Italy goes up with 13% increase rate annually, while in Germany keeps even. This is something that had many causes. On top of that immediate problem, what had also happened over the last 2 years was that, although they had invested in an expansion plan as well as a comprehensive propagation project in Germany, they had to face up to increased competition.
Yes, I think that's fair. And Jenny, you focus on the sales of chocolate. What did you find? And what did the company define as the reasons for the problems? Well, I think they've hit on the same things. In Italy, their chocolate has a loyal group of consumers, and the sales go up for 12% annually. However, in Germany, it is not so optimistic, and it has fallen 4.5% since last year. Through the investigation, I found that the marketing strategies are quite different in these two countries. In Italy, they choose to locate the stores on the nearer children's school. That is location competition. But in Germany, they just put the product on the second cheapest brand. That is price competition.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have 30 seconds to read questions.
At the same time, their longer-term problems, which were affecting their market share, were eventually credited to poor training in Germany. Many staff haven't received formal training before entering the store, and having looked at the details in their last report, I think that's right. So, on to the larger issues then. Kevin, what do you think the company will do?
Well, obviously they have the choice of accepting the very favourable terms that another company, KMG, a local food company, has offered them to buy the sole dealership. That may mean giving up part of their management or even changing a new brand.
Well, you mustn't always assume that mask threats require dramatic solutions. Sometimes there's a simple fix, such as changing the guy at the top. But a more probable approach, and one which I think would have more chance of success, would be to alter how they're running things, the management layers and the processes. So in your analysis, try to think of all the options. Jenny. I agree. When I was talking to the marketing manager, he said to me that he thought the company had got a great management ideal, but they haven't put it into practice, and that could cost a lot to put right. Ah well, in fact, what I want you two to do is to go away when we've finished our discussion today and write a report. We've looked in general at the marketing of JTL both in Italy and Germany over the last few sessions, and I want you to take JTL as an example and suggest some ways in which they might overcome their problems, and outline the reasons why you think as you do, but try and keep it intrinsic to the company, rather than drag in other examples. Is that okay, Kevin?
Yes, I think I can do that. Personally, I've got great hopes for it. I think it will recover. According to my survey, I found that the quality of product itself was a dominant factor affecting the consumption in Germany. In my opinion, they should guarantee the supply of cleaning products. Meantime, change the colour of package, which can in turn arouse consumers' appetite.
I think it can recover too. In my mind, container, materials, and image are all important parts that should be attached more importance on. What's more, the company definitely needs a boost to attract more highly skilled workers if their recovery is to be long-lasting. What do you think, Kevin?
Absolutely. The advertising propagation they did in Germany was quite inadequate, and they should carry out a comprehensive plan for the extension of advertisement.
I agree with both of you about the advertising extension. That's where they could do with some innovation to get sales kick-started. Anyway, let's see what you...
The end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You are going to hear a lecture. Questions 31 to 40 are based on the lecture. Before you listen, please look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen to the lecture and answer questions 31 to 40.
All around the edge of Africa, along the coastline, near the continent's ports, are monuments to exploitation. For example, on the island of Gori, just off the coast of Senegal, there's the slave house. This was the last place many Africans saw before being shipped off to a lifetime of slavery in America, or, just as often, to death on the high seas. There are many more places like this dating from the 350 years or so of the African slave trade. When people wonder why Africa is so poor, they need to look no further for the start of an explanation. The end of the slavery was followed by a century of colonialism. Some people argue that colonialism brought limited development, railways and schools and so on. The system was principally designed to turn Africa into a vast plantation and mining site for the profit of outsiders. Of course, some Africans gained from this period. Chiefs who sold their enemies to the European or Arab slavers, for example, and coastal people who creamed a little off the colonial trade which flowed through their land. But on the whole, for almost half a millennium, the general rule was systematic exploitation. This must, surely, be the basic reason why Africa is poor. You could add that the climate is punishing, that tropical diseases are rife, and that today's independent African rulers are far from perfect. All true, but these factors, powerful in recent decades, seem marginal when set against to the pattern that was set for centuries. The solution has been aid, emergency aid, development aid, agricultural aid, economic advices. Billions of dollars is worth of it. The problem with this solution is that, patently, it hasn't worked. On the whole, Africa has got poorer. The failure hasn't really been the idea of real aid, but the misuse of that term. Clearly, if, in the famous phrase, you teach a man to fish, you're probably helping him. But most aid hasn't been like that. Most of it has been top-down aid, and money that's given to African governments does the political bidding of the aid givers. A good proportion of it has been creamed off by the recipient government's officials, and another large chunk of it paid back to the so-called donors in consultancy fees, salaries, cars, houses and servants for aid officials, debt repayments and the purchasing of arms. And yet, to say aid hasn't worked in the past is not the same thing as saying aid can't work. On the great scale of things, aid, or more precisely the type of aid that's generally been given in the past few decades, hasn't worked. But a little of the right sort of aid, carefully directed and monitored, would be a lifeline for them. For example, if a few $1,000s is spent on a borehole, which is a lifeline to the precious water deep underground, those farmers who live on the plantation may receive great enhancement of their life quality.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.